question, in a materialistic world, where can I find meaning? Second question, I hear on the nation's soul. In a confusing world, where can I find guidance? My wife told me about a single colleague of hers who one Saturday afternoon, feeling quite lonely, decided to walk down and consult the local fortune teller. She was feeling lonely. She was looking for guidance. She was asking questions like, where's my life heading? What does my future hold? Will I always be lonely? And she's not alone. This year, 65,000 people will head to the 5 Mind, Body, Spirit festivals that are run by just the one company in Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane alone. There are other companies doing similar kind of festivals. Just the one company I'm talking about, 65,000 people through those 5 festivals. Most of them will be women between the ages of 20 to 45, and the organisers tell me that the most popular event of the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival is what they call the reading room. The reading room is where 60 psychics are kept busy plying their trade, giving all sorts of guidance to people looking for answers about money, about love, about success, about happiness. I've been to the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival. I went and interviewed a whole bunch of people who were going around looking for guidance, and it was fascinating to talk to them and to actually discover that's exactly what they were there for. And I tell you what, that reading room was busy. People longing for guidance. It's not all New Age navel-gazing though. How about the rise of life coaching? Had anybody heard of life coaching before about 8 years ago? Suddenly it's gone everywhere, life coaching. And there's advertisements, you can become a trained life coach. I don't think it's particularly bad, but I think it's a fascinating trend, don't you? That where I think once that would have been a pastoral role, a pastoral function of the church to nurture people, to build training skills and things like that. I'm not just talking spiritually, I'm talking about life skills as well. Now we've actually got this whole new movement of life coaching. In its business form, it's becoming very popular with male executives. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a fascinating thing. What I also find fascinating is the fact that it's not just bottom lines and spreadsheets and balances and career advice that's being explored. How about this as one client testimonial for a business-oriented life coach? About a year ago, I began an inner spiritual journey to try to fill that emptiness we all feel at times in our lives. I was led to Brooke, my life coach, through divine appointment of that I am sure. I now look at it as a continuing, exciting adventure of discovery so that I can be the best me out in the world I can be. In a confusing world, where can I find guidance? Maybe the fortune teller has it for me. Maybe Mind, Body, Spirit festivals have it for me. Maybe the reading room and the psychics there have it for me. Maybe the life coaches have it. Maybe Brooke has got it for me. In a confusing world, where can I find guidance? What do you think we're really looking for? How do we really find guidance for our lives? Can I suggest we look at it, look for it in 2 ways. 2 things predominantly give us guidance in our lives. Number 1 is a set of guiding values. Something that the nihilistic philosophers of a previous generation took away from us. Friedrich Nietzsche came along and said, God is dead. Albert Camus and those philosophers followed along and said, well, if God is dead, well then life is absurd. And as Albert Camus said, the only real question to ask is, why shouldn't we commit suicide? Is it any wonder that the inheritors of those ideas, Generations X and Generations Y in particular, are searching for a set of guiding values? Douglas Copeland, the famous author of the book Generation X, the book that actually defined my generation, talked about being on a search for a set of small rules because no big rules were left. They're looking for a set of guiding values. But that's not all. I think we're also looking for a guiding voice. And despite the loud, sometimes angry cries of some atheistic voices of late, I actually think Australians are still looking for that guiding religious voice. A few years ago, the Dalai Lama came to Sydney. I thought I'd go as a bit of research to go and discover what it was all about. Why was there so much interest in this quiet speaking man who talks a lot about compassion? So I went off to Sydney's Domain area there, and I found myself standing there with 5,000 other people listening to the Dalai Lama. Now actually the 5,000 people is not a very large crowd for the Dalai Lama, not even for Australia. What made this meeting particularly notable was that we were all standing in the pouring rain listening to him. Friends, people will weather storms to find a guiding voice. They'll weather storms. couple of years ago, Oprah hosted an online course with the popular New Age guru Eckhart Tolle. He's written that book, A New Earth, and before that, The Power of Now. Very, very big New Age books. 20 million people signed up. 20 million! And not a few from Australia. You can't tell me people are not looking for a guiding religious voice. People have a spiritual longing. Spiritual longings, plural. And I think this is wrapped up very nicely in the lyrics of a band called Carolina Lyre, mainstream band, not a Christian band. Listen to these lyrics. Save me, I'm lost. Oh Lord, I've been waiting for you. I'll pay any cost. Save me from being confused. Show me what I'm looking for. And friends, do you hear a voice? Do you hear a whisper of one who says, you will seek me and you will find me when you seek me with all your heart?